Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I'm producer Pat Ford, filling in for David today as he continues his paternity leave. We're now finding out more having to do with the Uvalde shooting that took place a few weeks ago, and specifically the police department's failed response to it. We're now finding out that they're working with a private law firm to prevent the release of details to the public as to what exactly they were doing as a gunman was inside Robb Elementary School, murdering 19 children and 2 teachers. We already knew that their story had changed a bunch, and we knew that they hesitated. There was a dispute over when exactly they arrived and whether they confronted the shooter at the door, whether that door was propped open by a teacher. But at the very least, it was clear from early on that they didn't follow protocol, that they waited and waited, and they didn't want to go into the school out of fear for their own lives, and that they even went so far as to hold back parents who were trying to go in and save their kids, knowing that the cops weren't going to do anything for them. In addition, we found out this week that cops were in the hallway of the school, but refused to advance, even though they certainly had the proper equipment, the rifles and the guards and the shields and everything that you would need to confront a shooter. And they were also spending a bunch of time trying to find a key to the classroom that the shooter was hiding in, even though the door was unlocked the entire time. So they didn't need a key. So now the police department wants to make sure nothing more gets out. The public records they're trying to hide, which include the body camera footage, the photos, 911 calls, emails, text messages. They're trying to hide all of it. A letter from the city to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says that the department doesn't want to release the information because, for one, it's being sued, which is somewhat understandable, I guess, but also because it includes highly embarrassing information and that the info is not of legitimate concern to the public. So how brazen can they be? They're out and out admitting that what's in the documents is embarrassing, meaning that they did wrong, that they knew that they did wrong, and that it's just not important apparently for the public to learn about, even though this is a matter having to do with the deaths of 21 people in the community, many of them little kids, and you're going to say that it's of no concern to the public. How can you get away with saying something like that? The city and its police department argue it should be exempted from releasing police officer training guides, policy and procedure manuals, shift change schedules, security details, and blueprints of secured facilities because these could be used to decipher methods, techniques, and strategies for preventing and predicting crime. Well, okay, to some degree, I understand this one, but clearly whatever methods, techniques, and strategies they had ahead of this mass shooting, they either didn't work or they didn't follow them. They chose not to use them, and so it would be nice to review the process and see how we could go about changing it. So this is going to be a travesty if they're allowed to block the documents from public view, especially because they've already been caught in so many lies, and the public has a right to know about this stuff, right? Because it's their tax dollars that were being spent, and it was their community that was ultimately hurt by all of this and hurt by their failed response. And this is a situation that probably should lead to some criminal charges. I'm not saying that you should charge the entire police department, but certainly the officers who were there, who had the opportunity to go in and decided not to, many of them should be charged with child neglect. That's what happened to that officer in Parkland who refused to go into the school. That should probably happen to many of the officers who were on scene there. And at the very least, many of those cops should be losing their jobs because not only did those Uvalde police officers fail those 21 victims and their families, not only did they fail the Uvalde community, they also failed society at large. Like, the public needs to be able to trust that if S hits the fan, the cops are going to be there around the corner to protect them. That's why police officers get the respect and the reverence that they do among most people in the country, because they're believed to be putting their lives on the line. You can't have a situation where the community views cops as just the people who are out there giving traffic tickets or breaking up high school parties, acting like tough guys in so doing, but then not step in when a situation like this really calls for it, really calls for police attention. So let's cross our fingers and hope that this effort to block the body cam footage and the text and all the other relevant information isn't successful, because the public deserves to know about this, right? And these cops need to be held accountable for their dereliction of duty, not just in response to this specific shooting and the 21 victims, but also for the ramifications that it has for society at large.
Many of us know what it's like to have acne show up when we least want it to. You should have seen me in middle school. Now I'm on camera and I really do the best I can to keep my skin clear. And for that, I go to Apostrophe, our sponsor, on the Apostrophe website. You just answer a few questions, take a couple pictures of your skin, And then you have a virtual visit with a board-certified dermatologist who will create a personalized treatment plan. They quickly ship you the prescription medication. I can tell you that when it comes to acne, you're better off with a dermatologist. There are all sorts of different kinds of acne that need different types of treatment. The over-the-counter stuff was not what worked for me. Apostrophe makes it simple and quick. I've had a great experience with Apostrophe myself. You get affordable, quality medical treatment from a licensed dermatologist and prescription meds that actually work, but I can do it all on my phone. I don't have to spend hours in a doctor's office. My audience gets $15 off your first dermatology visit. Go to apostrophe.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is in the description.